Okay, call it. Ooh, good afternoon. This is Judge Alyssa Perez, resuming the docket for the 210th District Court for October 3rd, 2023. All matters being heard today are being heard in accordance with all emergency orders and directives regarding COVID-19. In addition to that, we are streaming all matters live via YouTube for public viewing. Mr. Marufo, would you call our next case?
Yes, Judge, on page 19,
Uh-huh.
the second one, Judge.
Mm-hmm.
Alex, may we have Dypen? John Dypen?
Who here is?
Is Ms. Payan appearing from the annex?
Yes, Judge.
Yes, she is. Just 1 second.
Ready, Judge. In cause number 2020-0D04582, State of Texas versus John Dypen. Announcement of council, please.
David Vandenberg on behalf of the state is ready.
Edith Payan on behalf of Mr. Dypen, we're ready.
We are scheduled today for a status conference, so everyone is on the same page. I did receive Mr. Dypen the plea paperwork in this case. And so I do have some preliminary matters I do want to discuss with your attorney, Ms. Payan. I did receive an email from you with a proposed order regarding your client's release. I did review that order. I am not inclined to sign it. There is a process by which TDC has administrative, it's an administrative process to confirm his time credit. And so the court is not inclined to sign that order. I don't know, I don't recall from the email if it was circulated to the state or not. I don't know that it had to be, but I did review it.
I did see Mr. Vandenberg, Your Honor.
Yes,
Okay.
I received it, Your Honor.
Okay, I wasn't sure. There was just so much going on today. I just reviewed it. Ms. Payan, do you have anything else for the court on that?
No, Your Honor, I just want you to know also there were some concerns regarding the waiver of arraignment and your court. Mr. Marufo, Ms. Hernandez worked with me. I came out here earlier, he signed it. I scanned it from my phone. I downloaded a PDF app and sent it. I think it went through as a link, but you should have received something about 1:30.
Okay, so I will confirm on the record that that has been forwarded and that you have reviewed that with your client. So that is just a matter of our administrative process to get that filed with the papers of the court. And so I don't know, Ms. Payan, did you need a minute to speak with your client if you had discussed that matter in terms of process time? My understanding is that that administrative process may mean that he, although it is expedited and we can ask for everyone to expedite things, could mean a delay of anywhere from about a week, maybe even 2 weeks. And
Did
so
you just explain and then the court can follow up? And that way, I think we still want to go through with today because either way, we need to speed this up. But Mr. Diamond, I had hoped that we would.
Oh, no, she laughed.
So Ms. Payan, Mr. Harris, I continue to mute you because there is background noise and I will allow you to unmute once we get to your case. Ms. Payan, so I had you muted for the entirety of that conversation. So if I could just have the annex unmute you, I didn't want to listen to anything that we didn't need to listen to.
You know, I never said that I was actually interested in leaving here. You know, I might just want to leave here like when everyone else does.
Okay, but you still understand, we'll still do the
No.
offer, we'll still do the plea.
I'm good.
Okay, I muted you again, Ms. Bayan, so now, sorry, Annex, it looks, I'm not trying to read Ms. Bayan's expressions, but I feel like this is not gonna happen. If you could unmute Ms. Bayan or Annex.
If we could please,
If we have, we can, and what we will do is, we will reset for 1 week, but we're gonna do that in person. We're gonna do that in person, so, if there's any confusion or if you have any other concerns, please feel free to do whatever you need to do before then, okay?
thank you, Judge, so we'll reset this for a plea in 1 week in person?
In person, yes, ma'am. Thank you for your efforts.
Okay, thank you, Judge.
Bye-bye. Who's next?
On page 18, Judge. Annex, may we have Bojorquez?
Yes, sir. Give me 1 second, sir.
I won't be long.
Good afternoon, Judge.
Good afternoon, Mr. Reynolds. Mr. Bojorquez, is that you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, ready?
Cause number 2023-0D04731. State of Texas versus David Alexis Bojorquez. Announcement on council, please.
Jacob Reynolds for the state of Texas, ready to proceed, Your Honor.
Good morning, I'm Ramiro Hernandez from Mr. Bojorquez, and we're ready.
For purposes of the record, the attorney, I'm sorry, Mr. Bojorquez is appearing remotely from the jail annex. We're set for a bond hearing. I believe this was heard last week by Judge Speasney. Mr. Hernandez, you may proceed.
Yes, Judge, I believe Judge Beaton was going to defer to the court because I guess of the how high the bond was and the state was opposed to it. Judge, but Mr. Bojorquez is a United States citizen, Judge. He has no prior criminal history. He has these 2 third-degree felonies. The evade and arrest is it's set at $150,000. The smuggling of persons is $30,000. You know, just because the state has wrecked time, does that mean that the bond should be at $180,000? Judge, he's no prior criminal history, 100% probation eligible. If not from the DA, from the jury or the court. He's not a flight risk. He's not going to. I understand that the facts of this case is, you know, he was initially left the scene with they were trying to stop him, and he was involved in an accident. My understanding is that there were some initial injuries, but there's no serious injuries claimed at this point now, Judge. And so he's a lifelong resident of El Paso County. He's a staff, he works at staff welding. He's a welder by trade. He has a wife with 3 kids, a 7-month-old, a 4-year-old, and an 8-year-old. He graduated from Urban High School. We're asking the court to consider a bond reduction in this case, Judge. He also has a hold from the feds, and we'll have to pay another bond over there, when I'm sure we'll get him a bond there because he has no criminal history. And so besides that, Judge, there's going to be issues with prosecuting the case. And so I think the smuggling of persons, you need the persons that they were smuggling to testify. And in these cases, the state is not.
I object to that statement, Your Honor. That is a misstatement.
Mr. Reynolds, I'll give you an opportunity to speak. And quite frankly, I mean, I'm not trying to curtail your argument, but I viewed the entire bond hearing from last week on YouTube. So go ahead, Mr. Hernandez.
So Judge, we're asking the court for a reasonable bond, Judge. we're asking a PR bond on the smuggling and maybe a $10,000 bond on the evading arrest. I think I think those are reasonable. It's something that his family could post. In addition, Judge, from here, he's going to go to the feds. They're prosecuting him on the same facts, the same case, and with no criminal history. I'm sure we can get about a 10,000 cash surety bond over there, Judge, with the feds. You have to post another bond, and he'll be out on two bonds. At worst case scenario, Judge, I think he's probation eligible, and he's not a flight risk. He's not going to run. There's no reason to run on a case like this with no prior criminal history.
Mr. Reynolds?
Thank you, Your Honor. The state still maintains that bond is reasonable as currently set. The defendant here is charged with 2 third-degree felonies, as well as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 second-degree felonies, one of which involved causing serious bodily injury or likelihood of death to 2 of the victims in this case. Those victims were passengers in a vehicle that Mr. Bojorquez collided with when he was fleeing from the law enforcement officers who were pursuing him, attempting to conduct a traffic stop. Those passengers, one of whom was an infant, were sent to the hospital with what the report describes as profuse lacerations to the face. In addition, Your Honor, as the state argued last week, we believe that the facts of this case demonstrate that the defendant is unwilling to comply with any kind of pretrial conditions of his bond, evidenced simply by the fact that he wouldn't even comply with law enforcement officers lawfully trying to conduct a traffic stop. In addition, the offense that happened in this case began across state lines in New Mexico, where the defendant is alleged to have picked up the undocumented non-citizens who were in his car. He also stated to officers that he had conspired with an individual in Juarez, Mexico, who he had met in person and had, prior to committing this offense, crossed over an international boundary to meet with. I respectfully still disagree with opposing counsel. I do not foresee any serious issues in prosecuting this case. Under the penal code, the state is not required to have the complainants testify, and I'm confident that we are going to be able to prove each and every element of our case at trial. For these reasons, Your Honor, we believe that the defendant poses a flight risk as well as a danger to the community, evidenced by the nature of this offense. I would note that while Mr. Bojorquez is employed, I would suggest that the fact that he is having to resort to committing such a heinous offense as this for money is evidence that his employment is not to be given as much weight as the opposing counsel would propose. So for these reasons, Your Honor, we would respectfully oppose any reduction in the defendant's bond. We believe it's reasonable as currently set.
So, Mr. Reynolds, maybe, and so I'm clear, it's 180,000 total, I think, from the magistrate. It was $30,000 on the smuggling and 150,000 on the evading, right?
I believe that's correct, Your Honor.
And so the smuggling, the SBI that's related to the smuggling has to do with the individuals in the vehicle that were injured, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And then the evading has to do with the other vehicle that was, that he collided with at
Yes.
a separate location?
He collided with 2 vehicles, Your Honor, yes.
Can you help me understand, Mr. Reynolds, the difference? I mean, there's a big difference between the SBI that's related to the evading and the SBI that's related to the smuggling. In other words, when he was brought in, the SBI on the smuggling was I hate to put it in these terms, but worth a $30,000 bond. And the SBI on the evading was 150,000. I mean, there's a big difference in those two bonds. I know they're put together before me, but I'm failing to understand why the evading got such a high bond. Can you help me understand that?
I mean, I can't speak to the previous bond, Your Honor, as I didn't argue it. My surmise would be simply because the evadings that caused the severe bodily injury and resulted in the people going to the hospital. I mean, those were the serious injuries on those offenses. And as far as the reasoning behind how those bonds were divvied up between the separate offenses, I honestly, Your Honor, I couldn't speak to that.
I mean, because they're both SBI, right?
They are.
Did the individuals that allegedly were being transported, were they transported to the hospital as well?
I think so, Your Honor. I'm trying to find that in the report. Hope it's explained during the interview.
Mr. Hernandez, while he's looking at that, are you appointed or retained?
Retain, Your Honor.
Okay, so your client has maybe limited resources, but is not indigent, right?
He's not indigent, no, Your Honor. That's why I think we can post a $10,000 bond, Judge. And he has been in for 2 months already, Judge, or more than 2 months. Even though he still has his job available to him, he hasn't made income for 2 months.
Well, he does have his job. He can go back to his job.
Yes, ma'am.
And Your Honor, I found the injuries as they were reported. So there were the woman with her two children in one unit, one vehicle. The two children were those passengers were sent to the hospital. So that was one evading, causing serious bodily injury. There was also all three occupants of that vehicle were sent to the hospital. In addition, Your Honor, one of the passengers of Mr. Bajorquez's vehicle was in the cargo area of his SUV. He sustained a broken wrist. He was also transported. Mr. Bajorquez actually fled the scene, and they were able to find his wallet in the driver's seat of the vehicle.
Got
He
it.
was apprehended.
Okay, all right. And I may not have heard Mr. Hernandez, he's lifelong resident, has every tie to the community.
That's correct, Judge. In fact, graduated from Irvin High School there in the Northeast, Judge.
Okay, so anything else, Mr. Reynolds?
No, Your Honor, I think we've made our argument clear.
Okay, so I'm going to grant the request to reduce bond. I don't know if it's in the range that you would like, Mr. Hernandez. It is going to be a $100,000 bond that is going to be split 50,000 cash surety, 50,000 PR. He is to report to the PR bond office monthly in person. Use no illegal drug or alcohol, subject to curfew, 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. unless he is working. Commit no new offenses. I don't see, there's no co-defendants here.
And Judge, is that for both cases together?
Well, for me, it's one case at this point, right?
Okay,
It's one
okay.
case that's at
Okay.
180,000.
Right.
But
Okay.
I was in reviewing the bonds going back to the original orders, and I saw that the evading was 150,000 and
Right.
the smuggling
That's correct,
was
Judge.
30.
Okay.
So okay, so
Okay.
let me go back and look. Wait, other conditions. I'm not sure if I'm missing any.
Your Honor, if I may,
Yes, sir.
the state respectfully requests that Mr. Bajorquez be restricted from leaving the jurisdiction without the court's prior.
Absolutely. May not change place of residence and may not leave El Paso County without court permission. I don't know that we have any concerns with contacts on complainants. I don't see any indication of co-defendants, but Let me think, what else? I think that's it. I think we have curfew, commit no new offenses. We're good to go on that. Okay. If I do recall a discussion with respect to the trial setting. Are you still asking for a trial date that is sooner than March of 2024?
Judge, I think, let me talk to the family judge and see if they can post that, and then once it goes to the feds, so right now we'll leave them as is, and then if we need something, I'll file a motion as necessary, Judge.
Alrighty, thank you very much.
Thank you, Judge.
Who's next?
Judge, may I be excused?
You may. Thank you, Mr. Reynolds.
Thank you, Judge.
Judge, middle of page 20, I have the interpreter here for Ramirez Francisco.
Okay.
Annex, may we have Ramirez?
Is anyone else going to need the interpreter?
I asked Judge and they only mentioned Mr. Ramirez.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Cifuentes.
Yes, ma'am. Ramirez.
Sí, muy bien. Muy bien.
Thank you. Mr. Marufo, go ahead.
In cause number 2023-0D00788, State of Texas versus Francisco Ramirez. Announcement of council, please.
Caller, take it for the state. The state is ready.
Rick Hoffman on behalf of Mr. Ramirez, we're ready.
For purposes of the record, Mr. Ramirez is appearing remotely from the annex and utilizing the assistance of a court interpreter, Mr. Jesus Cifuentes. We are scheduled for a bond hearing today. I believe this is one in which I guess, Mr. Hoffman, you had a little work that you wanted to do before readdressing the court. You may proceed on your request.
Thank you, Judge. Apologies. Your Honor, Mr. Ramirez is 57 years old. He's been living in El Paso for the past 20 years, along with all of his siblings. They all live here. Your Honor, he was living with his mother, who he's been taking care of. He took care of her for the past 15 years, and she has recently been sent to an old folks home, so they have lost the house. Sorry, Judge.
That's fine.
We would ask that Mr. Ramirez be, if released, be released to a shelter. Judge, he's been in jail for 117 days on a $30,000 bond. This case is almost 3 years old.
I'm sorry, did you say 3 years old?
Almost 3 years old. The complaining witness is his sister, who has called me multiple times and informed me that she does not want to prosecute. She does not want to testify. She does not think that her brother is a threat. She is not scared of him. She wants him out, Judge. He's unemployed. He's, I think, 57 years old. He hasn't been in trouble in 15 years. And this case has been indicted as a first-degree felony. Ms. Ortega informed me that she's going to re-indict it as a third-degree felony. But I don't think that's been done yet. I don't know if that's going to be done. But my client's been in jail an awfully long time. And I don't know if he has any prior pen trips, Judge.
If you what?
Judge, I don't think he has any prior pen trips. There was an allegation of injury to a child back in 2010 that was, I think, reduced to a misdemeanor. He got 30 days in jail. That was the last, from what I can tell, the last involvement he's had with the police.
I show a DWI in 2011. He was revoked on probation there. An interference with emergency request for assistance in 2011, not guilty. And then ag assault, the one we have.
So at least, well, the last offense that I have is August of 2010. Before this allegation. And again, Ms. Ortega has a copy of the affidavit of non-prosecution. Complaining witness is adamant she does not want to have anything to do with this case. Anyway, we would ask that the court, Mr. Ramirez has been found indigent, and we would ask that the bond be set at something reasonable. It's an ag assault, so there's got to be something. And we would ask that that be a low bar, but something that he might be able to afford. And that's not much, so Judge. His sister's probably gonna end up having to pay the bond.
Got it.
Thank you, Judge.
Okay. Ms. Ortega?
Your Honor, the state's not opposed to the bond being decreased. We are going to reinvite the case as an AFV with previous conviction. We are concerned that, he would go back to living with the victim. And so we would ask for, part of that to be no offensive contact with Velia Aguilar. He did push his sister, and she had to go to the hospital for a compound fracture. So that is what we believe occurred and what we're alleging. But however, we do think that, a deferred offer is going to be appropriate. So we don't have any objection to a decrease.
Was there any allegation in this incident of any alcohol use?
I don't believe so, Your Honor. It was an argument over one of the caregivers giving some sort of medication to their mother. That's my understanding, and it sort of escalated from there, and the defendant fled the scene after the victim called 911.
Okay. All righty, Mr. Huffman, do you have anything else?
No, nothing. Well, Mr. Ramirez said, is it something to do with the case? I don't think. I probably advise you not to say anything at this point, sir. Cool.
Are you ready, Mr. Huffman?
Yes, Judge.
Okay. So I'm going to grant the request to reduce bond. It is going to be a $2,500 split bond, $500 cash surety, $2,000 PR. He is to report monthly to the PR bond office, have no offensive contact with his sister, or actually anyone in the family. I can't remember if there were other individuals. Is it just the sister?
There's multiple sisters.
Okay,
Nomás
so no offensive contact with any members, direct members, siblings of his. He is to use no alcohol or illegal drugs. He will be subject to curfew from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. May not leave El Paso County or change his place of residence without court permission. So you're anticipating he will be going to a shelter, Mr. Huffman?
That's correct, Judge. He can't stay with the sister or the brothers, or so the shelter, I think, is the only place for him at this moment.
Okay. He is to immediately maintain current contact information to include his place of residence. I think I'm going to, I am not going to put the may not change his place of residence without court permission, because if he's maybe going from shelter to shelter, that might be something that is more urgent, but he may not leave El Paso County. And at any point, he maybe goes from one place to another. He is to report that to PR bond immediately. Okay, so we have to know where he is. As soon as he stops reporting to PR bond, I will receive a notice from PR, and And let me see. And I will pull his bond if he is in violation. Okay, the family is here in the Zoom.
No, Your Honor, I just put the names for purposes of the bond.
Gotcha.
For the no offensive conduct. Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you, Miss Ortega. Miss Welch, can you tell me, you're asking me about reentry program?
Yeah, so is he
Can you
gonna
tell me a
need to
little bit
be-
about that?
I think the PD
And if you're
has-
speaking, I need you to select the English channel because I can't hear
Oh.
you.
Sorry, my bad. Okay, can you hear me now, Judge?
Yes,
Okay. From my understanding, I think the PD office has like a special referral program to a shelter. I think it's like 221. I have the info actually. But is that the shelter he's going to be released to?
Is that what you're talking about, Mr. Huffman?
Yes, Judge, we would ask if that language be included in the order to release. The
Okay.
only problem is the bond is gonna be difficult. It is, so I've got to figure out, you know, if he's gonna be able to pay that, his family gonna be able to pay that. But if so, that would be the most preferable thing, to put that in the order so that he does have a place to stay. They'll
Okay.
actually transport him, Judge.
Okay, so we can put that language in the bond order. Ms. Ortega, were there any other conditions that I did not catch?
No, Your Honor, I don't believe so.
Okay, then that's going to be the bond order. Thank you very much, Mr. Huffman.
I will go ahead, I'll email that language in to Miss Welch, Judge, if that's okay.
I
That's fine.
already have it. No need to email it to me.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Welch. If there's nothing further, we're adjourned on that one. Mr. Cifuentes, thank you for your time. Who's next?
Top of page,
Thank you, Judge. May I be excused?
Yes, have a good day.
Thank you, you too.
top of page 20, Judge.
Okay.
Annex, may we have Morris, Eddie Morris?
Oh. Yes.
Morris.
Go ahead.
In cause number 2018-0D01845, State of Texas versus Eddie Morris. Announcement of council, please.
Gerald George, Mr. Morris.
Sorry, there was election. Caller, take it for the state. The state is ready.
Mr. Morris is appearing from the jail annex. We're set today, actually, for a plea of true. Is that accurate?
Judge, it's not accurate, and I guess it's probably my fault here. What I was trying to do is I was trying to figure out how much time credit Mr. Morris had, you know, and I had done some work here on the times he had spent in our county jail here. And I come up with 669 days, which is getting real close to that number of 3 years that we're seeking here. And I know that he was picked up in Ohio, but I don't know how many days he's got credit there. So, I mean, I would ask the clerk if she could find out about that. I know that when
I have a message, Mr. Georges, that it is, yes, 669 days as of today.
And that doesn't, all it doesn't include is the period of time that he was arrested in Ohio.
Okay.
But yeah, the 669 is what I got too.
Okay.
Which includes the looks like 4 periods that he's been in jail here. And I was wondering if I could prevail upon the clerk if they know what the amount of time that he spent in Ohio. I know that
Mr. Georges, let me stop you because she's chatting me and anticipating your questions and telling me she does not have access to any bookings outside of El Paso.
So then if I wanted to try to get that, I'd have to get that from Ohio.
Correct.
Okay, then I think I can do that.
When do you want to be reset?
for a week?
We can do exactly that, but I want that to be in person.
Okay,
So we'll do it at 11 a.m. in person 1 week from today.
okay. And Judge, we had kind of thought we were going to be in person, but
I do
guess that
too.
was.
I'm not sure why your client's at the annex. In any event, you have some more things to do, so we'll see you in person next week.
Okay, thank you,
Okay.
Judge.
Thank you for your time.
May I be excused?
You may. Who's next?
Go ahead, sir.
Top of page 19, Judge. Annex, may we have a Cowger, Amy?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
In cause number 2023-0D03983, State of Texas versus Jamie Cowder. Announcement of council, please.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. David Vandenberg on behalf of the state. State is ready.
Good afternoon, Judge. Eric Mays on behalf of the defendant, and defense is ready as well.
and defendant is appearing remotely from the jail annex. We're set for a bond hearing. I show the bond being a 60,000 cash surety bond. You may proceed, Mr. Mesa.
Thank you, Your Honor. A little bit of background about my client. She's 45 years old. She's married. She was raised in Las Cruces, so she does have ties to El Paso. Her 21-year-old daughter does live in Las Cruces, and we've been in communication with her. My client is extremely educated. She has a master's in teaching. She was employed at MacArthur Elementary School for 21 years prior to being incarcerated on these charges. She has no criminal history whatsoever. Not to undermine the severity of the offense, but even as alleged, my client is not alleged to have done anything violent, to have a weapon, or to exhibit any sort of violent behavior. I think at best she was an accomplice and she was there with the co-defendants. I have been told by my client, who's been in communication with one of the co-defendants, or indicated to her through third party, that her husband is willing to take full responsibility for these charges. We've reached out to public defender who is representing him, but we have not been able to make contact.
Let me ask you, Mr. Mesa, just because I'm looking and I wondered about co-defendants. I don't see any linked co-defendants. Do you have a cause number on any of the co-defendants?
No, I saw the name, and then we had reached out, but I could get the cause number for you, Judge.
That's okay. You don't have to. That's fine. Go ahead. Didn't mean to interrupt.
No, it's okay, Judge. And so based on, I guess, all that, we are asking for a reduction, lack of criminal history, lack of resources. She has been in custody for over 45 days and is unemployed and or indigent. I know you can't give a full PR on this one, Judge, but my client has indicated to me that she can afford at most a $1,500 bond. She does not have a local address, but she is willing to do whatever it takes to be compliant with PR, which would include weekly check-ins in person, UAs, or even an ankle bracelet. At this point, Judge, I believe that she's kind of just sitting there, and we're kind of just trying to work to get these cases worked out and dismissed. But I don't, want her to sit in there much longer, assuming, I think, I haven't seen the official, but I'd like to think that the state would be offering her at least probation on this one.
All right, Mr. Vandenberg.
Thank you, Your Honor. The state believes that the bond is minimal at best in this matter. The facts, Mr. Mesa is correct. There is no criminal history here, but the facts of this are disturbing. It is a first-degree felony, and while her husband may have committed most of the actions in here, she is subject to accomplice liability. It's an armed robbery in the Quality Inn parking lot at 3 a.m. in the morning. According to the police report, it was for $3,500 worth of winnings at Sunland Casino. So they had to follow the victim from the casino to where the victim was staying, committed an armed robbery in which the defendant participated, although may not have held the weapon, did participate and was helping.
If you believe the complaint affidavit, which are just, part of the allegations, she was the lookout. She followed the individual in the casino. She was the one that targeted the individual while whatever accomplices waited outside, if you believe the complaint affidavit.
That's correct, Your Honor. So she took part in this endeavor. So she is a danger and she could link up with other people who are unknown to law enforcement at this time. Anyone who takes part in armed robbery in El Paso is a danger to the community. So we request the bond not be lowered, Your Honor.
How did they come to arrest Ms. Cowger?
No, I do not know that, Your Honor.
Mr. Mesa? do you have
Yeah,
any-
Judge, my review of the supplements reveals that I believe she was spotted again at the casino maybe 2 weeks or sometime after that and identified.
Was she with the co-defendants?
That I don't recall, Judge. I would have to look. That was
All right. All right, based on the nature and circumstances of the offense, future danger to the community, I am going to deny the request to reduce bond. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Judge. May I be excused?
Thank you, Mr. Mesa. Yes, sir. Who's next?
Third one on page 19, Judge. Annex, may we have Leon? Rafael Leon.
Yes, come on.
Leon? Leon? What?
In cause number 2019-0D00674, State of Texas versus Rafael Sanabria Leon. Announcement of council, please.
David Vandenberg on behalf of the state. The state is ready.
Tommy Carter for Mr. Leon, Your Honor.
And Mr. Leon is appearing remotely from the jail annex. We're on like our fourth pre-rebel hearing at this point. Had we not already discussed a number for Mr. Leon in terms of a revocation?
Judge, I know the last time we were here, the court was throwing out the number 2 years TDC, 2 to do.
Mhm.
I've spoken with my client. We've had a chance to kind of go over what could happen as a consequence of the plea regarding his military benefits, disability, and all that. He's decided to go forward with a plea of true
Mhm.
for 2 years TDC, Judge, if we
Okay.
can do that.
Mr. Vandenberg, are you on this one?
Yes, Your Honor, I am.
Please forward the paperwork. I would like to bring him in person in 1 week, Mr. Carter, so that if we have any issues, we can deal with them in court. So I'm going to set this for a plea of true on Tuesday at 11 a.m. in person.
Tuesday next week. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thank
Your
you,
Honor.
Judge.
Thank you.
May I be excused, Your Honor?
Sure, if you don't have anything else.
I do not
Thank you,
believe.
Mr. Carter.
Thank you, Judge.
Who's next?
Staying on page 19, Judge, Kyla Mendola. Annex, may we have Mendola?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
In cause number 2023-0D04362 and 2020-0D06119 and 2021-0D00743, State of Texas versus Kyla Mendola. Announcement of council, please.
Dollar ticket for the state. State is ready.
Good afternoon, Judge Jesus Alyssa, on behalf of Ms. Mendiola, we're ready as well.
So are we going to BHRTC?
No, ma'am, I've spoken to my client. She's asked me to request a 2 years TDC. She feels that would probably be the best fit for her.
Okay. So let's get the plea of true paperwork sent over, Ms. Ortega, to Mr. Olivas. I will also have this set for 11 a.m. on Tuesday. Well, that might make that morning docket kind of busy. Let's do 1:30 on Tuesday in person.
Okay.
The 10th, Your Honor, a week from today?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think that'll work.
I'm sorry. Yeah, 1:30 in person. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Judge.
Okay.
Excuse.
You may have a good day. Who's next?
Second on page 20, Judge.
Mhm.
Annex, may we have Piscina Arthur?
¿Y esto no salió tomorrow?
Okay, I'll contact the downtown jail. Staying on page 20, Judge. Annex, may we have refugio, Rios Refugio.
Carla, did I get another? I know he's been in custody and I think we just reset this one from the last hearing. I'm seeing a report from September 18th. Is that the last one? But I don't even see it. Oh, there it is. No, this is from, let's see. There it is, September 19th. What number were we at on Mr. Rios? Let's go ahead and call it.
In cause number 2023-0D05274 and 2016-0D04953 and 23-0D05035, State of Texas versus Refugio Rios Jr. Announcement of council, please.
Impel Ortega for the state is ready.
Over here is for the defendant, and we're not ready. But we'd like to ask and see if they could give them a rejection and make it like 3 or 4 years running concurrent. If not, we might choose to go to trial.
So let's see, we have one probation case, 2nd-degree felony, and then we have an ag assault, an attempt to take a weapon from an officer. Ms. Ortega, do you have a rec on?
Yes, Your Honor, and I have emailed Mr. Harris's office regarding the rec. It's 8 TDC on the cause numbers ending in 5274 and 4953, and 18 Men State Jail on the 5035.
Okay.
Are we stuck on the 8 years?
I'm sorry?
I think that's for you, Ms. Ortega.
Well,
Yep.
yes, I had emailed over the rec.
Are you stuck on the 8 years or can go a little bit lower?
No, that's it.
Okay, for now,
So, Mr. Harris, we have 2 cases that are set for trial, only one probation case. Obviously, he's just been arraigned on the 2 new cases on September 19th. You have a jury trial in each of those cases set for April 5th, 2024. You've heard the rec. Sounds fine to me, but I mean, you have your trial track. So for now, what I would like to do is going forward on his probation case, we just carry that with the standard pretrial conferences that lead up to his jury trial. If you all end up at some agreement, feel free to circulate plea paperwork and send it to the court, but I will be carrying his probation case just along with the 2 new cases. Okay?
that's perfect.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have an excuse?
You may. Who's next?
Judge, we're just waiting on Mr. Messina to log in from downtown.
Mhm.
And on page 21, Judge, Ms. Caballero's office, I have not been able to get through to them since 3:20.
Okay, well, keep trying. We need somebody here. That's our last final hearing plea deadline. Ms. Ortega, are you on that one or who is on this one?
No, on Ms. Caballeros. Yeah, go ahead.
Ms. King, Judge.
So when I see downtown, let's go there. Is Mr. Rodriguez at the annex?
He should be, yes, Judge. Annex is Rodriguez there?
Hello, Your Honor. I'm just gonna go get the inmate. Give me one moment.
Okay,
Thank
so
you.
let's take a break.